Hi, and welcome to Studio 411. I'm your host, Larry Dasilva, and as you look around, we have a memorabilia extravaganza. And you say, well, geez, how did I collect all this cool stuff that I'm surrounded with today? Well, we're going to have a wonderful chat with the founder and chairwoman of the Teddy and Joan Pendergrass Foundation. Joan Pendergrass will be joining us in a couple of moments. Joan has been kind enough to bring some marvelous memorabilia honoring her late husband, soul and R&B legend Teddy Pendergrass, who passed away back in 2010. We kind of call this show Remembering Teddy Pendergrass. Joan will be joining us shortly to talk about not only the foundation, but again, the short time she spent married to Teddy between roughly 2006 and 2010, and their times together, and share some great memories. And we'll also reminisce with some of the great music and memories he made from the 70s when he was with Harold Melvin and the Blue Notes, to his solo career throughout the 70s, and something that I'll say for after we watch this clip. We're going to open up with a clip of Teddy, kind of telling you a little bit about what he went through, and show you a quick clip of that. So let's take a look.
On March 18th, 1982, 2 o'clock in the morning, my life changed.
Singer Teddy Pendergrass is in critical condition right now in a Philadelphia hospital. Doctors say the 31-year-old performer has severe injuries to his spinal cord.
Teddy has demonstrated that even with a severe spinal cord injury, paralysis of the body in no way trumps the will of the human spirit.
I began to understand what my mission in life should be. My spirituality got stronger. My belief got stronger. I needed everything I could to help me muster the power to move forward in my life.
Well, now that we know a little bit, for those of you who might not have been as familiar with Teddy and what he went through during his 60 years on this earth, let me bring to the table someone who has graced us by coming in from the Boston area. Again, the founder and chairwoman of the Teddy and Joan Pendergrass Foundation, Joan Pendergrass. Joan, thanks so much for being here today.
You're very welcome, Larry.
Great to have you. And again, as you're going to see, folks, during the next hour, we've got some great pieces. Also, I want to mention, too, a CD that has been put out posthumously through Joan as well as the foundation. Teddy Pendergrass Duets, Love and Soul. And this has got some great tracks, songs that many of you may know from Teddy's days, both as a member of the Harold Melvin and the Blue Notes, a solo artist, Love TKO, Turn Off the Lights, again, You're My Latest, Greatest Inspiration. Again, these are duets that were done posthumously using Teddy's voice. Such people as Angie Stone, Linda Clifford, of course, Motown legend Martha Reeves of Vandellas fame, the Stylistics, Rolls Royce, Bonnie Pointer, and again, also Jody Watley, along with sax extraordinaire Tom Scott. So again, a marvelous sounding CD. Joan, tell me now, I know you've told a story because I've been following your other appearances, and again, touch a little bit about when you and Teddy met. But first I want to ask now, your background now, where were you born originally?
I was born in the island of Dominica, the Commonwealth of Dominica, in the West Indies.
And now you came to this country at what age?
I came to this country at the age of 18.
Okay.
Yes.
Oh, at 18?
Yes,
wow. Okay.
I was 18.
And now the main schooling there, or did you follow up with any schooling here?
Main schooling there and followed up here as well.
There you go. So that, and then just so we know a little bit about Joan as well, has had a long career with New Balance. And again, then we cut to circa mid 2000s when you and Teddy first connected?
Yes, in 2006.
2006.
April 2006.
So now
April 16th to be exact.
I'm sorry, what day?
April 16th.
Oh my goodness.
To be exact.
Oh my goodness, it's a memorable day for me. My goodness. But yeah, it's I think that's my birthday. My goodness.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so see, so it was karma. So
yes.
now I just have to remember what I was doing in 2006. Say, well, I was here, and then they were hooking up over here. But tell me now again, you guys kind of met through not the most normal channels. So go ahead.
Right. A family member of mine had passed away on Good Friday, and I had spoke to her the Friday before she passed, and I was trying to get in touch with Teddy because I know Teddy and her were very good friends. After his accident in 1982, they became good friends. And so I tried to get in touch with him and I couldn't. And I called different numbers in Washington, D.C. And someone in Washington said that the last known place they knew he lived was in Montgomery County. So I called the police department in Montgomery County and I said, do you have Mr. Pendergrass' phone number? And they said, yes, we do, but we can't give it to you. And I said, can you please go and pass, a message? And they said, sure. So they went to his door on Easter Sunday and rang his doorbell and told him this woman was looking for him. And
when I found you, I didn't call the police, Joan. I used more traditional methods.
So he called me around 12 o'clock in the afternoon, and he said, how dare you send the police to my house on Easter Sunday?
Made a good impression, didn't you?
Yes, and I said to him, you're such a grouch. And I hung up the phone, and about half an hour later, he called me back, and he said, do you have email? And I said, yes, I do. Why? He said, I want to send you something. And I gave him my email address, and he sent me an email, and I still have the email today. It says, while I'm speaking to you, someone is trying to find you, and that person is going to be your long life friend and partner. So he literally took it really serious because, here's this woman looking for him, and here he's getting this email. He went on his computer, and it started from there. We started talking. We spoke that day for a long time. He called me back and forth that day. And by 7 o'clock that night, we were talking to each other like we had known each other for a long time.
Just for the viewers, again, Teddy, when he was paralyzed in the accident, he was paralyzed from the waist down, correct? From the chest. But now he did have some mobility with his arms.
A little.
A little bit.
Shoulders,
okay, so yeah.
But not the arms.
Right. Okay. I'm just trying to picture. So when using a computer or a phone, was that all via some device, or was that?
There was a device that was strapped around his hand, and it's called a pucker, and he could poke at things.
Gotcha.
So he could type by poking.
So it was kind of a mounted mouse apparatus, for lack of a better term.
Yes.
Okay. Let me just interrupt for a second. We've got a shot here. Again, this is of Harold Melvin in the blue notes, and the gentleman in the light striped jacket there with the other gentleman leaning on him was Teddy. And now here's a photo of you guys back when you were first together.
That's the day we got married.
Oh,
we went
really?
to church Easter Sunday morning, and that was the photo after.
You guys changed outfits about 3 or 4 times that day.
That day I changed. I think he didn't change, but I changed into a gown that I had made.
As we'll see later, a marvelous looking gown. I gave a teaser earlier, and I just found this out within the last probably couple of hours. I think, to me, this is probably a record, but again, I'll toss it out there anyway, something to be very proud of. In researching Teddy, I found that he was nominated for 4 Grammy Awards, and again, if someone's got him beat, it's got to be somebody like a Barbra Streisand or somebody like that in terms of nominated for Best Male R&B Vocal Performance, but nominated in 3 different decades, 1970s, 1980s, and a final nomination in 1994. So quite an achievement for someone that obviously had their career derailed for a time. What amazed me about him, and I know some of this too, is you weren't around at that time, but I'm just amazed that when he did have the accident in '82, that really for that time, in a year or less, he really got kind of back into the business. You would have thought, especially 30 some years ago, that someone would have been probably laid up for 2 or 3 years. So I think that's, highly commendable. I mean, I can't even imagine.
He was a very strong individual, very strong personality, very, if Teddy wanted to do something, nothing could stop him.
Right.
And that was the type of person he was.
Sure.
Yes.
We've got a shot here, if we can go to that again, a 45. Now, I'm assuming from what my research tells me, this must have been something from Europe, because it says 3, and I'm going to say it's probably 3 quid or whatever the equivalent, because it certainly wouldn't have been $3.
Oh.
This is a 45 of their first big hit when he was with Harold Melvin, called If You Don't Know Me By Now. And of course, if you don't know that song by now, then we really have to, we really have to educate people again. But and Teddy is on the bottom there, looking handsome as ever. There you go. There you go. So now, I remember there being something about when you were doing these relatively long-distance conversations. One of your daughters had said, Ma, why don't you go and meet this guy?
Well, what happened, I met him on my way. I was going to work in California, and he asked me to stop in and see him when I was coming back to Boston. And I said, sure. So I stopped in and I met with him. So a week after, he called me Saturday morning. He says, I don't feel well. Now, when I met Teddy, he had just undergone throat cancer surgery. Mm-hmm. So he was being fed by a tube. He was, through his stomach, and he was very frail and dark. And he called me that Saturday morning, and he said, if I knew I wasn't going to feel well today, I would have asked you to come down. And I said, really? He said, do you mind asking your girls to drive down with you? And I said, are you kidding? It's a long drive. And my daughter was upstairs, and she heard me. She came, she says, Mommy, do you really want to go? And I said, sure. And she says, can you be at the airport in about an hour, hour and a half? And I said, sure. And I ran upstairs, and I put some jeans in my bag and took my meds.
So it wasn't even driving. You drove to the airport.
I drove to the airport. She got a ticket for me. And believe it, by 12 o'clock, I was ringing the doorbell. I didn't call him back and tell him I was able to come.
You always pull these surprises on him, right?
Yes.
You're calling the cops and then show up unannounced. Wow.
Right. So I rang the doorbell, and then the nurse came to the door, and she said, Teddy, is someone here for you, Joan? And he came with his wheelchair. I heard the wheelchair coming, and he was like, oh my goodness, you made it here and you didn't even tell me. He said, you're keepers. I'm not letting you go anywhere.
Wow.
So he was surprised that I made it.
That's
and
amazing.
I told him, I'm going to nurture you back to good health. And
got a shot here of Teddy from the classic Jet magazine from back in the day. Teddy talks about being a sex symbol and a single parent. Now, he had 3 children, correct?
Yes.
Or still does, right?
Yes.
Teddy Jr. and then a couple of girls.
LaDonna and Tish.
Tish,
Holloway.
Yeah. So again, there you go. That's Jet and looking sharp, looking sharp. Joan Pendergrass joining us here for the hour on Studio 411. For more information, TeddyPendergrassOfficial.com for more information. For more stuff about not only the CD, the new CD, Duets, Love and Soul, as well as information on the Teddy and Joan Pendergrass Foundation. I used to think when I would see his albums, and this continued maybe 1 or 2 after the accident, I thought he was wearing a sling. And then I realized that was like a scarf that
Yes.
I guess that was part of his mantra that he would wear. And so any idea how that came to be? Did he do that in his stage act as well?
No.
No.
Teddy liked fashion.
Yeah.
And as you know, Teddy was the first black artist with his own jeans line. We have a jeans here.
Yeah, I'm going to have my buddy over there
First
bring
black
that.
artist
Yeah.
with his jeans line. So he was kind of transitioned into clothing. We have a lot of photos where he was posing with beautiful suits. He liked colors, colorful shoes.
Sure.
And so he was moving over into the clothing line.
And I'll tell you, if, had he lived longer, I think that would have been awesome here. I'm just going to take this up for a second. Here's an example, if we can get this on camera. Here's an example of one of Teddy's outfits. Looking sharp here. Look at that. Look at that. Wow. Teddy
and the
bear.
jeans has a little teddy bear on it.
Yeah.
The pocket has a little teddy bear.
That is awesome.
The jeans inside. Yes.
Terrific. All right. Thank you very much. All right. We'll get back to another of the outfits in a little bit. But all right. There's a shot of you now. When was this taken?
This was taken right after we got married, March 23rd, 2008.
Okay, so you guys basically, the courtship was about 2 years.
2 years.
So just a month under 2 years.
Yes,
yeah.
2 years.
There you go. And
now
obviously.
And it was Easter Sunday.
Oh,
we
on
got
Easter
married
Sunday.
on Easter
okay,
Sunday.
Yeah. And
Absolutely.
that, right, and that was, we talked off air, that was what, up in the Newport area?
No, that was at the house in Pennsylvania.
Okay.
We had a private ceremony
Gotcha.
at the house, March 23rd. And then we did the reenactment September 9th, that same year in Newport, where we had about 250 guests.
How was the weather that day? The weather was good?
Oh, it was horrible. It rained. We were supposed to have the ceremony outside. We had to do everything inside, but it was a beautiful place in Newport.
There you go.
Yes.
Now tell me, again, I've noticed, obviously, you know, I thought to myself, how do I say this without sounding like a little chauvinistic? But, you know, you look fabulous. And then I thought to myself, no disrespect to Teddy, but being with someone that has these kind of needs and demand challenges, that must have been, you know, taken a little bit of an emotional or physical toll on you over that time. I mean, to be perfectly blunt.
To be honest, it didn't.
No.
Not at all. I did it all out of love. I was happy to do it. I guess my upbringing helped me because of my struggles that I went through as a child, made me be very humble. And we did have a lot in common. When we spoke, he respected me. And so it was easy for me to do because I loved him so much and he loved me. He showed me caring and love. So it was very easy for me to make the trips back and forth.
Now, at that point when you met, because the cause that I saw listed was it colon cancer that he passed from, or was it?
He passed from respiratory failure.
Okay.
Because we had gone through the surgery.
Okay. That was a
5th,
throat issue. Okay.
And so it was he couldn't breathe because I think after the surgery it took a toll on his body. So that created a problem 10 days after. And on the 16th is when we had the doctors put the trach in him because he had problems breathing. And that lasted for about 8 months in the hospital.
Now, when he kind of came back, I want to say it was around 1984 where he started, and he did Live Aid, just for those who may not remember. Again, Live Aid, I remember seeing the image of, they had, I think it was in Los Angeles or New York. Was it Los Angeles? Or was it New York? Yeah, and he was in New York, but I thought they also had in Philly, and then they had in London, because I remember Phil Collins took the Concorde. He was in London, and then he took the Concorde to go to Philly or New York for one of the other
New York
shots.
And Philly. But
there's another shot too I want to mention. There's the you know, probably a different scarf, but again, you can see. You see, I model myself. I try to model myself after Teddy. You see, I fall woefully short, but I try.
That's great.
But he made an appearance there. But as the years wore on, did he ever say to you that with age or with the challenges that he had, that it became more difficult to sing, because obviously he was not able to use his full
diaphragm.
body. Yeah.
It was a little more difficult, but he did it.
Yeah.
He sang. He was out in 2002. That's the jacket that he wore in 2002. There was also the play Arms Are Too Short to Box with God in New York.
And he did that with Stephanie Mills.
Yeah. He also, I think he went on a tour for a short while. I won't mention the name of the person who sponsored him.
Oh, okay.
Because most of the world right now is upset with him.
Oh, okay.
And so
all right.
he was sponsored.
It wasn't Don King, it's safe to say. No.
Yes,
okay.
but he gave him the chance that a lot of people would not have given him.
There you go.
And so he toured for a while, and he became ill. In the last performance, he performed at Teddy 25.
Right, we're going to see a clip later
right,
from that.
And that was 25 years of his paralysis, when the doctor said he was going to live 70 years. And he was celebrating 25 years. And in 2008 was his last performance at the Borgata in Atlantic City. That was the last performance he had. Yes.
Speaking of great performances, one of his solo hits from, I want to say, I think this was, let me see, where is 1980, Love TKO. And you and I talked when we were getting to know each other a few months back, I remember at the time living in Fairfield County, Connecticut, and all of a sudden he was doing, I don't know if it was the Meadowlands or whatever, as I came to find out, one of those kind of almost like female-only concerts. And there was Teddy, a clip, promoting the concert. And he's like just like so into it, from one of the earlier shows he had done. And he's just, perspiring up a storm with all the energy that he gave. And he had this cowboy hat, which we're going to see, because as you told me, she goes, yeah, we have the hat when sometimes you take the memorabilia and do charity events. You guys bring that. And of course, that I flash back to like 1980, 81. And again, it was madness. The women would go crazy.
Throwing the underwears. It was so funny. When I was cleaning up Teddy's drawers after he passed, I didn't know how valuable these were. And there were all these underwears in his drawer, in bags that people had thrown to him. And they would throw fur coats and keys to their cars. And he would tell me stories like he would go to his room and there are all these women outside of his room door. He would know how they know what room he was in.
They probably did like you and called the police.
I could understand why, because he was a charmer, so I could understand.
We've got a photo here, if we can get a little bit of it here. This is from 1996, from, guess what, the White House back in the day, from President Bill Clinton. Dear Teddy, happy birthday. Hillary and I hope you had a wonderful day, and we send you our best wishes for a healthy and happy year ahead. So obviously, March 27th, 1996, from President rather, and now former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton. We're here at Studio 411 for the hour. Joan Pendergrass joining us, remembering Teddy Pendergrass, her late husband, Teddy, 1950 to 2010. For more information on what Joan and the foundation are up to, teddypendergrassofficial.com. And again, here's a shot that I thought was kind of poignant, given her passing within the last several years. And I remember one or two tracks on one of her solo albums that Teddy did around the time that he was getting back. The late Whitney Houston and Teddy, and boy, I used to like Marvin Gaye and Tammy Terrell, but I tell you, these two, it's a shame they didn't record more together. It really is. Marvelous tunes that they did. Let's see now. We have all sorts of good stuff here. Now tell us a little bit about this one right here, if we can get a shot there of that. That's a platinum album?
Yes, these are 4 platinum albums.
Amazing, yeah.
And that's a beautiful painting with the cowboy hat.
Yes, I know. That's why I like that. Yeah.
Especially for you. And the next one is a Teddy 25 when he sang.
Yes, then we're
I am who I am.
We're going to have a clip of that later on. Here we go. Oh, we just have all sorts of great stuff. This was from a City of Philadelphia citation. Teddy Pendergrass, the mayor back in 1980, as well as the city council and all the council people. Resolution December 17th, 1980. Which is pretty good, because not only that was before the accident, but he had only been a solo artist for a few years.
Right.
Commemorating it, rather, he said, Teddy Pendergrass Day. So that's quite an image there of that. So yeah. How was life now with Teddy? Now I got the impression, because of your career, and you were based again out of the Massachusetts area, I believe, that you were not always there. I mean, I assume he had caretakers to take care of him.
When I met him, there was 24-hour nursing care. He had 24-hour nursing care. So I was able to work in Boston and come home. So I would make my weeks short in Boston. Sometimes I work from Monday to Friday, sometimes Monday to Thursday, sometimes Tuesday to Thursday. And I was home every weekend.
Right.
And if he had a doctor's appointment, I would work my time around that, so I was always there.
Very, very courageous in terms of, what you did and in your own way sacrificed.
I wanted to continue to be part of 50-50, like he said, too. I wanted to contribute, so I didn't want to leave my job. I wanted to contribute to or leaving. So I decided I wasn't going to leave yet. I was going to stay, and we were planning to open a restaurant in Philadelphia because my heart is cooking. I love to cook.
Yeah, there you go.
And so that was in the plans for me to do.
Now, what did he like to eat, as long as we're talking
goodness.
food? Did he have a hearty appetite?
Oh, he likes everything. He loved to eat. He loved oxtails.
Oxtail,
Stew
okay.
oxtail, Caribbean style, yes.
Oh, really? Oh, okay. So now he found the right person there.
And he loved my fruitcake. He loved it. So he likes to eat.
There you go.
Yes.
Here's from one of your events, and if we look, I think fourth from the left, I believe might be this disc here.
Yes.
And again, some of the gold and platinum LPs and a single, et cetera, et cetera. And again, I just throw these out because I even heard a track the other day that really makes a person think. A song that he did with the Blue Notes called "Wake Up Everybody."
Wake Up Everybody.
And it really is. I know he didn't write it, I believe.
With a lot of people.
But it's just a song that just, you listen to it, and I remember thinking, this was like this past Sunday, thinking, wow, if people listen to this song, I think we'd be a better place.
Absolutely.
And that's so actually one of the lyrics. I'm not meaning to borrow from it.
Yes,
but I kind of look at it.
It was written, I believe, by Whitehead.
Yes, McFadden and Whitehead. Yeah,
yes,
there you go.
It was.
Yeah,
yes.
absolutely. Joan Pendergrass joining us here for the hour on Studio 411 to talk about Teddy Pendergrass, her late husband, and also tell us a little bit about, as she has, about the latest CD, Duets, Love and Soul. Again, Teddy's greatest hits, featuring a who's who of people. Linda Clifford used to love that song, Red Light, back in the day. There's the scarf again. See, I thought that was a sling that he had.
It's a scarf.
Looking good. The Ohio Players, my goodness, this is like a who's who here. It's terrific
the record
stuff.
company's Cleopatra Records. That's the company.
Oh, that put it out.
Yes.
Gotcha. Okay, yeah, very good. Oh no, super stuff. And my thanks for bringing this along.
You're welcome.
Let's talk a little bit about the foundation. Now, you and Teddy actually had it in the works, if not already started, before he passed?
Well, no. When Teddy passed, there was the Teddy Pendergrass Alliance.
Gotcha.
But after Teddy passed, while he was here, the year that he left us, he was working with Temple University in the city of Pennsylvania to have a Teddy Pendergrass Academy built. But after his passing, things didn't go too well with that organization. So it's Teddy and Joan Pendergrass Foundation is actually a spin-off. Mm-hmm. So I'm the founder of that organization because I didn't want what he started to die. And so by doing that, I'm able to sustain what Teddy was all about in his last days and last years of life, is really caring about people with this condition. He wanted to give them hope that they, too, just as he did, was able to be normal members of society. And so he wanted to help them with education, housing, and just transitioning, because it's a very tough thing on a family when a loved one becomes a quadriplegic or become paralyzed. And so I wanted to continue his legacy. At the hospitals, one of the things he told me was, honey, I don't want to be really remembered as the musician, but I want to be remembered as the person who tried to help others. I will always be remembered by my music, but I want you to continue helping those that can't help themselves, and that's my goal, to continue what he started.
There you go.
So
I'm going to get a shot, if we can, of this here. Beautiful painting. Give a shout out. Do you recall who designed that or drew that?
I don't remember.
No,
his
okay,
name.
but it's wonderful. And then you're looking fabulous there between the two states of Teddy, we'll call it. Yeah, yeah.
Yes.
Very good.
Actually, that's on his tombstone.
It is. Okay.
Yes, that's the picture of his tombstone.
We're going to show a clip now. You and I had talked about it off air. It's the one where, what was it, at your wedding reception?
Yes.
Where Teddy broke out into song, and I assume that
surprised me.
That was impromptu, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Really
So kind of looking like this. Only I think he was a little more clean shaven.
That's
that day.
not him. That was at 2002.
Oh, that was the big
2002.
concert.
Yes,
yeah.
that was one of the big concerts.
So we're going to check that out here on Studio 411. We're going to hear Teddy serenade his new bride, and let's take a listen. Welcome back to Studio 411. Larry Dasilva with you for the hour, joined by the lovely Joan Pendergrass, widow of Teddy Pendergrass, the R&B and soul singing legend. Also, Joan, the founder and chairwoman of the Teddy and Joan Pendergrass Foundation. For more information, teddypendergrassofficial.com. One thing I had jotted down probably about 6 weeks ago, and I wanted to tell you, I think I was reading an old magazine. It had something to do with Valentine's Day, whenever it was that this magazine had come out. And there was a quote in there, and I said, oh, I got to jot this down and tell Joan. You know how people are always touting flowers and roses, which are nice, but they last 3 days and then they start to wilt, or you know, you get maybe a teddy bear or a stuffed animal and then somebody loses it or whatever. Well, this quote was, quote, skip the teddy bear and throw on some Teddy Pendergrass.
Wow.
So I thought that was pretty good. Yeah.
That was nice.
It wasn't a commercial. It was just
Right.
something that the person writing the article was basically giving tips on what maybe to buy people or to do for someone, like maybe, you know, take them to dinner, you know, like you said, the way Teddy sounded like he was a romantic at heart. And I thought
he
that
has a very calming effect on people.
Sure.
So if people played more of his kind of music, they would be calmer. They would treat their women better.
There you
because
go.
he just delivered it so well.
There you
And
go.
so you can just pretend being Teddy for that day or that moment.
So see, there you go. Skip the teddy bear and throw on some Teddy Pendergrass.
Yes.
There you go. Here's a shot, as we talked about before, my favorite down there, in the plexiglass lower center, the famous hat, and those must be some leftover teddy bears from other Valentine's
Day. Oh, yes, we still
Day.
have them.
There you go. Yeah. So, and now this on occasion with the foundation's activities, you bring these out sometimes
Right.
for
So
at
we
gala
had an
events.
exhibition in Philadelphia, October 28th, 2016, which was really well received. We raised funds to help people with spinal cord, and we made a really good donation to McGee Rehab Hospital, which is where Teddy was. A lot of these items are going to be donated to Black museums and African American museums. That hat here is going to Nashville, Tennessee.
Oh, really?
It's going to be donated.
So
to,
you mean I have to go to Nashville to see the hat, Joan? You're killing me here.
And quite a bit is going to be donated to Nashville, Tennessee. And we're also working with Washington, D.C., the National African American Museum there, to donate some of Teddy's memorabilia to them as well.
We've got a shot here. Look at again. It's hard to see.
In London.
Look at these shoes. Okay, those are some shoes there. Look at that two-tone on the floor there, and that was from a pre-accident concert.
Yes.
So this was like 1980, 81 probably.
That was, I believe, in 82.
So just before, yeah.
Yes, in 82.
And just so the folks know, the accident took place. Was it in Philadelphia area?
It was in Philadelphia. Yes. In 1982.
Wow.
Yes, March 18th.
And we have some other just tremendous stuff here. Again, what I marvel was that he continued to record even after the accident. Sure. I do have one question. I don't know if you would know the answer. Was his label before the accident? I got the impression they kind of dropped him like a hot potato after the accident.
Yes, I won't say anything bad about them because his label was Philadelphia International Records.
The sound of Philadelphia.
And then Elektra picked him up
after. Yeah.
Philadelphia International Records has been there through everything that we've gone through. When Teddy was going through things, they were always there. So I'm sure they did what they did because yesterday, the things that people said, which was not true.
Right.
So they reacted, that's the way it was yesterday.
But now they also put out two albums or CDs. It was albums, probably the cassettes in those days, of unreleased stuff. They squeezed out a couple of. So my point was they capitalized on the name.
They are wonderful people.
They are,
Penny Gamble.
Okay.
Yeah, they are. They helped sponsor the October event, and we're on very good working relationship with them. They're wonderful people.
I just found it strange that he would go or leave another label, and I didn't know if it was a financial reason or if it just, but you would think that they would kind of stick together.
People were yesterday.
Sure, no, I hear you.
People were
There's a great shot. This is from the wedding day, I assume?
This was at Teddy 25.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Mine was so much alike. He didn't know what I was wearing, and I didn't know what he was wearing. And when I walked from upstairs and came downstairs, his tie was mimicking my dress.
Oh, nice. There you go.
Yes, so we kind
Either that or they thought, he stole a swatch from her dress and wrapped it around.
No. That was at Teddy 25.
Very nice, very nice.
Yes.
We've got a shot here from an LP. Again, this was on the Elektra label back, let me see here, I cannot, 1988, an album, and folks, a cassette back in those days, if we can get this on camera 3, called Teddy Pendergrass Joy, presented to Teddy Pendergrass to commemorate the sale of more than 500,000 copies of the Elektra Records album and cassette. I guess CDs were just starting.
Right.
Called Joy. So again, isn't that, try to tilt it so we don't get glare here, but yeah, isn't that gorgeous? Marvelous. And then we'll pull another one up here shortly, but here's again an image of him. Again, I can't get away from that scarf. I'm going to start wearing a scarf on this show. What do you think?
I hope you wear it as well as he does.
We've already.
Remember, he was 6'3".
We've already determined that that's not happening.
6'3", so.
Oh my goodness.
Yes.
So now, are there any recordings or anything that perhaps are in the archives that have not been yet released, or?
To my understanding, yes, and I'm working with individuals. There are two. Philadelphia International Records is one of them, and Bill Jolly, which is music director, he does have some material that we're going to be working on.
Okay, and again, like I said,
we have the movie with Tyrese Gibson.
Now the movie, as you told me, it takes an incredible amount of effort because this is something that you guys had in the mind for several years.
Before Teddy passed, he started it, and then through the litigation and all of that stuff, kind of halted everything. And so last November we started up again, and so we started a contract with Tyrese Gibson. And there's also BBC London is doing a documentary on Teddy's life. Starts in April of this year.
Okay, so we should be seeing that sometime soon. Now here's one. Now this one is from, this must have been, this is one of his early 1981 to be exact. an album called "It's Time for Love." I'm not as familiar with this one here. If we can get a shot of this, presented at Teddy Pendergrass again. Commemorates sales more than 500,000 copies of the Philadelphia International Records long-playing record album. That was it, folks, called "It's Time for Love." I mean, that is just fabulous. You know, we were showing some of the crew. I mean, just to hold one of these, my goodness, that's marvelous. And now, what's
quite a bit of them.
What's the reception, especially? No pun intended, at the receptions and different things. Here's an image, too, of you with some of the foundation people. And there's a photo of you, of course, with clutching one of your many wedding photos. But what's the reaction when people see these mementos up close?
Well, even I was kind of surprised. I mean, I have all of these things, but when they were all put together, people were surprised walking through. They didn't realize. There was a beautiful video that was being shown from Teddy before the accident and after the accident. And people just stood up looking at that video over and over. They were amazed and didn't realize that he had done so many songs. And then we had a beautiful collage of all the songs that he had sang on one beautiful frame, and people were reading it and they were amazed. I didn't know he sang that song. I didn't realize he was the one who sang that song, and you know, they just loved it.
Sure.
It was well received.
And over the years, too, I mean, again, because we as a culture, we always seem to like, you know, whether it's like the Icon series or our friend who's been here on a couple of occasions, Chris Jasper, a Hall of Famer with the Isley Brothers, you know, they put out the Essential this and the Essential that. You know, they've re-released stuff of Teddy's. I'm not sure whether there's been a true comprehensive disc that would encompass his entire career, but you know, from even some of the Blue Note stuff. But again, people love that kind of stuff. You know, it just and as we said before, you know, throw the teddy bear away. Just put on a Teddy Pendergrass, and we'll be good to go.
Yes,
as you said, the world would be a better place.
Absolutely.
Remembering Teddy Pendergrass here on Studio 411. And also talking about Teddy's life, being married to Joan, as well as the CD Duets, Love and Soul, Teddy Pendergrass. And again, here on Studio 411. Again, just tell me, there's this shot I love, tremendous. It's just a great shot. So again, he, you know, he seemed really content,
yes.
You know. I mean, did you think, and kind of a difficult question to ask, but do you think that he kind of knew that you know, that the time was drawing near?
No,
not
at all. Teddy loved life, and when we met, he felt that he was given another chance. I had no idea. He had no idea. We enjoyed each other so much. Thought that we would grow old together. I was up and down the road driving every weekend. Sunday nights, leaving midnight Pennsylvania to be at work for 6 o'clock in the morning. He was always worried. I could have gone before him. I have medical issues, which I'm diabetic, and you know, I had medical issues, and he was paralyzed.
Right.
We never knew who was going to go first, or it was going to be that soon. But the years that I was with him, it's years that I can never, ever replace, never forget, because we had a wonderful, wonderful relationship. And
yeah,
he would sit and talk to me and laugh, make me laugh, and he enjoyed that so much. He was a strong person. He made me strong. He brought out the best in me.
Sure, and I think I have no doubt that meeting you filled a probably bigger than you even give yourself credit for a void in his life, because obviously he had gotten amicably divorced, so
Yes.
I understand, early part of the 2000s, and as with many marriages, I'm sure things were probably already on the downside
Right.
before that. But then
Right.
to
Absolutely.
have, you know, not everybody that you meet calls the cops to, you know, go over to someone's house, you know.
Like he said, I wasn't looking, and God took her and put her in my lap, and that's the end of it.
Yeah.
So, you know, I wish it was longer, but it's a lifetime to me.
Sure.
I'm still committed to us, committed to what he believed in. So it's a lifetime for me.
Yeah.
It's a lifetime.
There's a song, I wish we had had time to include it. Maybe the next time we have you on, a song that now I've really grown to appreciate it, called, that he co-wrote, I believe, called Truly Blessed. And I heard a live track of it. And if we have you back on again for a theme show or whatever, with your permission, we're definitely going to use that track. Because I mean, it's you put a background singers behind them, and it was something else. You know, it really was. I told a friend of mine who was very spiritual, and I said, listen to that track, and let me tell you, I could see him letting out an hallelujah after that song was done. You know, he really. Well, was he a spiritual person?
He was very spiritual.
Yeah.
Yes. I think after the accident, he kind of doubted himself. He doubted.
Sure.
But at the end, he came back. He came back into his faith. He thought the reason why he was in the chair is because he had disobeyed God. But then he realized that it was part of his journey. And so he accepted it. It took him a long time to accept, you know, what happened to him. But I believe at the end that he realized
Sure.
it was meant to be.
And as I think, again, everyone can make up their own mind, but I know that, and I'll mention it only in passing so that someone doesn't say, well, you didn't even broach that, was that, as Joan well knows, because she had to go through it, was then because being the second wife, and we all can relate to second wife, second husband, when there's children involved, we're not going to really get into it much here, but that there were, you know, issues because, you know, everybody comes out of the woodwork, and I'm not saying if it's immediate family, but you know how it is. I've known people where right away, you know, a long lost aunt, uncle, cousins, you know, guy that met you back in the Army days, they're all coming out looking for something, and then and I'm sure they also then look at you like, well, probably you know, gold digger. I'm like, well, I would think if you were going to gold dig, you wouldn't pick necessarily a gentleman who was in a wheelchair.
Absolutely not.
You know what I'm saying?
Well, there are people who said that, and I think there are people who don't know me. And everyone will never know you, and there are always people that's going to be negative. But the people that was important to my husband, they're still true to him today and to me and with me, because they knew that it was not. I had more to lose than my husband did.
Oh, sure.
So, you know, I just listen and just take it with a grain of salt, because my husband knew and I knew it wasn't true. And so it was all love.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. No, I mean,
yes.
I could see that. And again,
it was short, but
exactly,
it doesn't really matter. It's the quality of time.
Yeah.
You could be married with someone for 10, 12 years and you're not committed to them. Like he told his mother, she's committed to me and I'm committed to her. It doesn't matter. You are with someone for a very long time and they're not committed to you. So does it really matter? No. It doesn't really matter. So.
Here's a shot there of Teddy back in the day. Again, you can see the beads of sweat, like I mentioned earlier, with the cowboy hat. Again, that was one of the live coast-to-coast Teddy. That was an individual that basically in his peak, and I think even afterwards during the years where he was wheelchair bound, that again, you just had to say the word Teddy, and that was, at least if you were an R&B, soul, pop fan of any kind of music, if you didn't know who that was, then obviously, your demographic must be different. But again, growing up and always loving music, and folks that we've chatted with even here today, you know, believe me, as soon as they hear some of the songs, or you tell them a little bit about, oh wow, you know, this is the guy, you know, and he is the guy. That's, you should call the next CD, the guy.
The guy, he is.
Oh my goodness. So Joan Pendergrass here joining us for the remaining moments here on Studio 411. The Teddy and Joan Pendergrass Foundation. For more information, teddypendergrassofficial.com. the most recent CD, the Teddy Bears Greatest Hits, as they bill it, featuring Angie Stone. Is that pronounced Shuggy Otis?
Shuggy
Otis, yeah. And then again, Maxie Priest, again, a marvelous performer. I had a chance to see doing a song with them. Bonnie Pointer, marvelous. Again, this is, and then you even have one with Shuggy Otis and the Stylistics. So I mean, this is like an all-star jam going on here. Now, who chose the get the people together? How did that come about?
That was done again by Cleopatra Records. Yes, they did.
Oh, okay.
Yes, Angela Stones was doing a duet with my husband before he passed, so they just continued.
Gotcha.
Yes.
And we talked earlier about, again, kind of getting Teddy's music out there. Now, again, I've seen this one, and actually held it in my hand. Again, that certainly is a good place to start, the Essential Teddy Pendergrass. So I would say between these two, if I was doing one of those drives, I'd be like, hey, I just packaged those two together, and I've got myself.
We're working on
beyond hits.
We're working on it.
Absolutely.
I have a really good group, a small group, 5 of us that's working really close together.
Now we're going to be watching a clip of him doing a song. Tell us about it. That was from Teddy 25. Help us set up this clip as we say farewell.
Well, Teddy 25 was a milestone for Teddy, and so he wrote that song with his manager, music manager Bill Jolly, and the way Bill Jolly talks, it's like Teddy knew he was not going to be here longer, so he wanted to just tell his whole life. And so when you listen to the song, wow, you can make it your own, or you can just put yourself in his place, because it's really telling you, this is who I am. It's called I Am Who I Am.
There you go.
Beautiful
Can't get much
song,
better set up than that.
Beautiful song. And every time I hear the song, I want to cry, because
we've got tissues if
wow.
you need them. But Joan, thanks so much.
Yes.
I owe you tremendously. We look forward to having you back again with more stuff to talk about. And again, the Teddy and Joan Pendergrass Foundation, the website for more information, teddypendergrassofficial.com. We thank you for joining us here on Studio 411, and we're going to leave you with a clip from, as Joan said, Teddy 25. Teddy doing I Am What I Am. We thank you for joining us, and we will see you next time.
Thanks.
I had to reach down, way down inside to see. Yes, more than just what you see. So much more. I am who I am. Yes, no one can discourage me. No one. See, I am just who I am, and it's all a part of my heart. I said, here I stand, I'm still the same man. I am who I am. Gotta tell you, there are those times when things get really so much to life. I feel just like giving up. But I know there's got to be a plan for me. That's why I keep on living. 'Cause I know